Hi, Mike. So the reason you're here today is that since your accident, you've been having some difficulty with some frustration and some anger, and you've been having some impulsive behaviors, some difficulty adjusting to your classroom, and new professors since you've been coming back to school. So the purpose of you being here today is we're going to talk a little bit about those anger and frustration that you've been going through, and we're going to address some issues that you've been having, and then also talk about some management techniques that you can use in the classroom to deal with your frustration and anger. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with this checklist. All right. And what we're going to do is you're going to have a version of this checklist, and I'm going to have a version of this checklist. And at the end of the session today, you're going to rate yourself on how you think you did, and I'm going to rate you on how I think you did. And we're going to see if our answers match up or if there are some discrepancies between how I feel you did and how you feel you did. And then we're going to talk about those discrepancies and see how we can, decrease some of these behaviors that you've been having. So let's go over the checklist first. The first number on the checklist is I was able to control my frustration, and these are all on a 3-point rating scale. 1 being no, you weren't able to control your frustration, 2 being sometimes you were able to control your frustration, and 3 meaning yes, you were able at all times to control your frustration. The second question is I was able to control my anger. Again, 1 being no, 2 being sometimes, and 3 being yes. Number 3 is I was able to control impulsive behaviors. 1 being no, 2 being sometimes, 3 being yes. And the last question is I used my strategies to help decrease my frustration and anger. So we'll talk about some of those strategies that you can use, and you can assess whether you use them or not at the end of the session. Again, 1 being no, 2 being sometimes, 3 being yes. I also want you to think about how you're doing throughout the session and evaluate yourself. How do you think you did? And then also, what can you improve on? Because there are always areas that are good to improve on. So